Hey Dee and Jeff, thank you so much for coming on to this conversation. It's so nice to see you guys after what literally feels like yesterday, where we had that chat to see if I could present you guys to the London VC network. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, great. Thanks for
Good.
having us. It's lovely to chat again. Yeah, it's been a very busy several weeks, but really good. Lots of good opportunities coming along and lots of good stuff. Yeah, so it's great.
Awesome. And how are you, Jeff?
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Busy, busy, busy with the business, with investors, answering questions, meeting with people. As you can imagine, the fundraising process and cycle is extensive and in depth, which is really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time we chatted, GoodBrew was just about to launch in Amazon. Is that right? How have things been since then?
Yeah, really good so far. The reception has been really, really positive. So we have launched on Amazon UK. So that is our first kind of official foray into the UK market. And it's been great. Yeah, sales are going well, sales are building. The good reviews are starting to come in, which is really promising and kind of exciting. So yeah, we're really excited. And we also soft launched our pistachio latte on Amazon UK. So it's only available on Amazon right now. It'll be launching exclusively with a certain retailer in January, and then we'll be rolling it out. And the feedback has been super positive, so it's good. It's very exciting, kind of our first entry into the UK, and before we officially launch in the new year. So that's great. And our crowd cube raise is going really, really well. We've exceeded our target already, which is fantastic. And met some really interesting people, interesting investors, like Jeff said, like a lot of very good questions and good feedback, which is always, just so worthwhile and so welcome as well. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and I think what's great about Good Brew is, you mentioned the pistachio flavor. When I presented it to the LVCN fellows, the first thing that they said was the flavor was amazing, and I can only imagine what the pistachio one might be like. So I might give that a try as well.
That's
Um,
good. Nice feedback. It's great to hear.
yeah, no, absolutely, and I guess our audience doesn't actually know what good actually is. So do you want to just briefly summarize what good is?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to dominate the conversation, but I suppose I'll take this when product is more my thing. So, essentially, at GoodBrew, we make functional cold brew coffee drinks, right? So when we say functional, in our case, they're enriched with our Good Gut formula, which is a really unique and innovative blend of prebiotic fiber and immune boosting vitamins. And they come in a range of flavors, including caramel latte, vanilla latte, pistachio, like we just mentioned, and mocha as well. So think, kind of healthy frappuccino-esque coffee. It's grab and go on the go, very sweet and creamy, but also really good for you as well.
Awesome. That's great. And how has the fundraise been so far? I know you guys are on Crowdcube. How much have you raised, and how much are you looking to raise, if anything further?
Yeah, so we've raised just north of 300K on CrowdCube. What we're looking to do, our target's roughly 500,000. And we have ongoing conversation with some institutional, private, as well as kind of some VC funds. So, we're chasing, answering questions, and having a ton of meetings. So it's going well. People understand the concept, understand the opportunity, are understanding the value proposition that Good Brew brings to this space in the marketplace. So
Mhm.
it's going really well, and it seems to be well received.
Yeah, and I think one really good thing about the crowdfunding aspect for us, which was part of the reason that we decided to go down that path and kind of, I suppose, split our raise into two, into the crowdfunding and I suppose a more traditional segment, is because it's given us kind of great visibility, I suppose, in the UK and Europe. So many people have reached out to us because they've seen our activity on Crowdcube. They've seen that we're crowdfunding, and they might be kind of outside of that crowdfunding space, but we've come to their attention. So that's been fantastic as well. Especially for us, obviously, we were founded in Ireland. Ireland is kind of like our tester pilot market. It's fantastic. It's going really well, but it is quite a small country, small market. And so it's great to really have that exposure, I suppose, to bigger markets and investors as well.
Mm. Yeah, and the great thing about Crowdcube and crowdfunding is that, like you said, it just gives you that exposure to the market, and especially if your target audience is people around the kind of middle age region. So yeah, it's great. And I'm assuming that's why you went towards crowdfunding rather than the VC world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think another thing that attracted us to crowdfunding is that, we are very specific with our target consumer. We know them very well. This is a Gen Z consumer, roughly age 16 to 25. And while we obviously have consumers outside of that age bracket, we really focus keenly on them, and we wanted to give people an opportunity for them to bring them in as well, kind of on our journey. Obviously, building a challenger brand, you want to build a really strong community behind that and have people vested in it. And so it kind of opens up the investment to a younger generation of investors who obviously, you probably aren't kind of going to meet on the VC circuit. So it just brings in a diversity of people. And we've met some really interesting people with like great knowledge as well, like very specific knowledge that they can, ask smart questions or bring to the table. So yeah, it's been a really positive experience so far.
Yeah, I would say from a marketing and building our brand and brand ambassadors, it's been amazing. Plus, it just allows us to open up the door and let people join the GoodBrew crew, which is fun and exciting.
Yeah.
And Jeff, just on that note, when I initially spoke to you, I remember just being really anxious asking you all of these questions around the finances and stuff. But it would be really good for the audience to know more about the valuation, the revenue, so that they understand what a founder invest call actually looks like. So would you like to just tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So this year we're looking at revenue just shy of 200,000. Next year we're projecting just north of 600,000. In 26, about $1.5 million. What we've done here in 24, we've really focused on the infrastructure, building that base. So much of the challenge in the FMCG space is actually wheels or routes to market. It's building that infrastructure. So we transitioned from our old chilled 10-week shelf life product to our new ambient 10-month shelf life product. January and February this year, we had empty shelves on the space. So really our revenue in 24 is driven by 10 months, not 12. And we've built a really good, strong base and foundation infrastructure we've onboarded now with 6 different distributors, 5 in Ireland, and then Amazon for the UK. And about a half a dozen different retail partners, very strong Irish-based Musgraves, SuperValu Centra. You have Tesco, you have Dunn's, Fresh Market stores, a couple cycles with Apple Green coming up next year.
We
Circle
just
K,
got Circle K, I think, since
coming
we last
online
spoke to you, which is really
in January,
exciting.
which is massively
Awesome.
exciting. Armark and Avoca, and so it's
And I think
exciting.
that was always our goal was, so we largely bootstrapped this to date. We've had some small investment from Enterprise Ireland, grants, that kind of thing. We were very lucky to avail of, there's a lot of support in Ireland for startups in terms of kind of innovation vouchers and that sort of thing. So we had essentially like a 2-year product development process, like without going too much into the weeds in it, to get us from this great product that we had, but it was chilled supply chain and 10-week shelf life, so it just wasn't scalable, to get a version of that product that was really unique and innovative and scalable. And the goal was always to get ourselves to a place where when we really take on investment, we're just using it to grow, and I feel like that's where we really are now. Like Jeff said, everything is kind of in place, and now money raised is just for sales and marketing, driving scale.
And from a valuation perspective, we're looking at current pre-money valuation around 2 million. Based on 25 revenue and projections, we're looking at about 4 million, and then it steps on from there.
Great, awesome. So that's the numbers out the way. What I really want to understand though is a bit more about you guys and your backgrounds. I know. Literally the other day I heard the radio. It was Kerry Radio, something like that. And I think it was a few questions were asked about your journalism background and how everything's going. So how did it come about that you went from journalism to GoodBrew?
People are really always really fascinated with that, which I understand, because I think on the face of it, it just seems like a crazy kind of, nonsensical career move, but actually there's a lot more that, synergy there than you would think. So, I think I've always been really entrepreneurial, minded, right? Like, I think that's just something that's kind of in you, it's not. And, I've also been very kind of interested in business, and I think I had a fantastic journalism career. Like, that's the thing. I was actually very happy in it. I was doing very, very well. And I was working a lot in kind of, I suppose, like the digital space. And I was just very enamored, I guess, with the idea of a physical product, right? Like an actual physical product that, kind of improves people's days, right? That's, if you think about it, like your habits every day, if you're drinking coffee every day, you're really impacting people's lives, right? If you're making a good thing that they enjoy every day. And I spotted, I suppose, like what I saw is like a really genuine gap in the market. That's kind of how it originated. And I think if you speak to most, FMCG founders who come into it with just like a great idea, that's kind of, where it comes from. Like, you're like, why is nobody making this? It could be so much better. And turns out it's because it's really hard, right? But I didn't know that at the beginning. So, Jeff and I, we were both living in DC. We had these very like high octane lives, very, big careers, working a lot. And, we were fueling ourselves with lots of caffeine, lots of sugar, just wasn't making us feel good. It was kind of causing crashes. And we saw everybody else around us was doing the same thing, right? And anecdotally, we saw like cold coffee was where it was at, plant-based was where it was at. So I kind of had this vision for the product, but then when we dug deeper down into the research, like I think we're both very much like data people and people. I saw like, wow, like all of the market research, all of the consumer behavior, all of the trends are indicating that like this product should exist, right? Like there is a huge demand and need for it, and nobody's making it. So that was kind of the start of the journey. I thought, let's give it a shot. We developed the chilled kind of MVP version of the product, and the reception was just so positive. We very quickly realized, okay, we need to figure out how we can scale this. Like, we have big ambitions for this brand and for this business. And so we kind of went down a 2-year road of developing it. But I mean, in terms of the overlap of skills, there's actually a huge amount of overlap, in terms of digital marketing, strategy, problem solving is a huge part of both paths, and management as well.
Yeah, of course. And were you both on board with it at the start, or was one person more like, no, I want to? So what about you, Jeff? What's your background, and how did you get kind of strung along into the journey, and obviously doing so well now?
Yeah, so we relocated from the States about 4 years ago now. And Dee spotted the opportunity here locally right away. And then we did a ton of, market research, data analytics, understanding what is currently offered, as well as where the future resides, and all the projections, Euromonitor data and all that kind of stuff. And so we dialed in an opportunity. Dee dialed it in, started the Super Value Food Academy program. About midway through, we found ourselves really sitting down and having serious conversations. We knew there was an opportunity in the market. We figured we could sell it for a specific price. We, at that time, had an opportunity to make it ourselves. We could make it for a reasonable cost structure. This is the old chilled product. And then we figured out it was kind of a runner. And so for us to actually make this happen, I walked away from my career at that time, and we fully dedicated to GoodBrew, going on over 2 years now.
Yeah, and your career was, just to explain to people, finance.
Sorry, so I was finance operations for large global multinationals for about 20 years. Think your General Electric, Stanley Black & Deckers. And so a lot of kind of, operations and finance experience that lend itself well. I'm more the back end guy. I'm not even supposed to be here type of thing, right? So, think of process, procedures, the infrastructure, and everything behind the scenes to actually, get the product out there.
Yeah, and it's like, I'd say our skills are really, really complementary. Obviously, Jeff has the financial acumen, which is, super important. But his operation skills, like, I'm more on the creative side, right? So I have 100 steps to everything, right? Whereas Jeff thinks process from the beginning, and operations and lean. And so throughout all our product development, we've ended up with a really innovative lean manufacturing process.
That's right.
that is, a huge advantage to us, especially as a startup in this like hyper competitive space.
Yeah, of course. And obviously you've got great advisors on board as well, don't you? Who are both in the kind of food tech industry. Would you like to talk a bit more about them?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose Frank Leeson to start, he's a founding investor. He's the former head of Aramark in Europe, and he's on the National Association of Convenience Stores, which is a US-based global organization of convenience stores. So he's incredibly knowledgeable, deep connections in the industry, and he is just super enthusiastic. He's very active in the business, which is great. He actually came on board. We did a kind of an accelerator, Enterprise Ireland accelerator program called Foodworks here, which is very good. And as part of that, you kind of have a final mock pitch to a panel of people, and it's not intended to raise investment. But Frank was on that panel and said, "Hey, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I want to be involved." So it was kind of a bit of serendipity there, So he's been fantastic. And then Jackie Marsh is an amazing mentor. She was originally an Enterprise Ireland mentor, and then she stayed with us. She founded and exited a business called Butler's Pantry in Ireland, very successful, and very like sage advice. So we're building a really strong network of really knowledgeable people. Jeff and I always like to say one of our strengths is kind of we know what we don't know. So we bring a lot of experience, a lot of different skills to the business, but we definitely don't know it all, or even
That's right.
half of it. So we're building that network where we can go and ask people. And I have to say, people have been super supportive, and always willing to kind of help us out and give advice where needed. So it's great.
That's right.
I mean, that's how you know you've got a good product, when someone's just wanting to give you that investment from a panel. And I definitely can relate to that. And when I first spoke to you guys, I thought, well, what great energy. And I think that's what people are looking for. People are looking to invest in good people who can execute on their vision. So on that note, where are you wanting to take GoodBrew? Is it going to be a more kind of UK, Ireland based? Are you wanting to scale it? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, Jeff, do you want to talk? Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, obviously, we have good base and foundation infrastructure to really scale in Ireland. We've started the pilot for the UK market with Amazon. We're a significant portion of the fundraise is actually going to drive brand awareness and marketing campaigns to really expand within the UK market as well. And then after that, obviously, I'm from the States. We'd love to, in 26, late pilot the US, and then followed by a campaign to expand the US in kind of a 27 timeframe. If you look at that long range financial forecast and business strategy, that's kind of the timing.
Yeah, and I should say, like, we've already had like a good amount of organic interest in the UK market, actually, which is like extremely positive and kind of heartening. So the UK will be our major focus, and we were just getting all our ducks in a row. We want to enter a market and really take it on. So we were getting everything kind of prepped and ready for that. So it's exciting.
That's great. And I guess a final question to kind of wrap it up. What is it that gets you out of bed to be so passionate about GoodBrew?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think we're so close to it. We're so passionate about it. We know it's a great product. We know the demand is there. Like, we know, somebody said to me a while ago, this opportunity is not easy, but this is yours to lose, right? Somebody will do this. It could be GoodBrew, or it could be somebody else. And I think we're both quite hyper competitive people in our old lives and in this current life. So we're just really, it's exciting. Like, it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But it's exciting to see, I suppose, how far we've come as well, right? Like, when you see the growth, that's kind of what keeps you motivated every day, and how far we've come with just being straight, like very little, right? Like very little funding, very little, like we had to be kind of, there's a lot of ingenuity and kind of chutzpah that's gone into it. So now at this point, it's super exciting because we're going to have more resources. So it's like, what are we going to be able to do with that? So I think we just love the challenge, and we just think, we're displacing other products that are not very good for you, that are, that don't have the same ethos. And I think that's a really worthwhile and great thing to do. And ultimately, we want to be creating jobs and positive impact. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's some culmination of professional and personal experiences, plus, Frank and Jackie, the board members
Yeah.
and senior advisors and stuff. I mean, for us, for me, it's just adding value and bringing that value proposition to the marketplace and
Yeah.
actually executing. Building a business strategy and plan is one thing, but being able to tactically execute and deliver, it's just a whole another level of accomplishment. And it's extremely rewarding for myself and us.
Yeah, and sometimes one thing that I always like is when people say like, well, can you ask your XX department about that, or you're like whatever person, and I think like we are everything, you know what I mean? But it's like it's nice, right? Like to think that we're presenting that business and presenting that level of professionalism. So yeah, it's really exciting. We've always been really hard workers and very driven in what we've done. And we always thought like if we could build something for ourselves, like like that would be fantastic. And we're doing it so far.
And honestly, it's just so great to be involved in the journey. I know you were involved with the health tech event at LVCN, and lots of people loved the product. But thank you so much for your time here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the next steps are for GoodBrew. And I'm sure I'll probably be walking down in Sainsbury's or Tesco's and see it on the shelves, and that will be a really proud moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank
Yes,
you so much.
absolutely.
No worries at all. Take care. Bye.